All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Picture this, taking a quick trip back to a famous movie scene that's actually based entirely on a true story. In The Pursuit of Happiness, the lead character Chris Gardner shows up to this incredibly competitive, life-changing job interview. But there's a massive catch. He is wildly underdressed, literally covered in paint, and has just been released from police custody for unpaid parking tickets. He's got no money, no fancy resume, no proper qualifications for the gig. Logically, they should have tossed him out the second he walked through the door. Yet, by the end of that interview, he gets the job. How on earth did he pull that off? It definitely wasn't his credentials. It was the sheer, undeniable power of confident behavior. He leaned into a skill that overpowered every single one of his visible disadvantages. Think of me as your personal trainer for the mind today. Here's our game plan. First, we'll look at the power of confidence. Second, we're doing a quick reality check. Third, we'll dive into 5 specific behavioral solutions. And finally, we'll wrap up with 3 daily reminders to keep you on track. Sound good? Let's go. Okay, part 1, the power of confidence, talent versus action. The big takeaway for today is super simple. Confidence is not some magical aura you're born with. It's actually just a set of practical behaviors you can learn and master. Seriously, just look at the scale of this. If you ever feel like you're the only one struggling to speak up, check this out. A staggering 75% of people are terrified of public speaking. Over half of all professionals actively hesitate to share their opinions in meetings. 2 out of 3 people constantly worry about being judged by others. So, if you feel held back, you are incredibly far from alone. Our society is absolutely packed with highly capable, talented people who miss out on jobs or get talked over in meetings just because they lack the behavioral toolkit to show their true worth. Moving on to part 2, the confidence reality check. Grab a mental pen, because we're going to do a quick self-assessment. Score yourself from 0 to 5 on the next few scenarios. A 0 means, nope, not me at all, and a 5 means, yep, that's me every single day. Let's start the diagnosis. Scenario 1 is the fear of judgment. You know that feeling when you're in a classroom or a meeting, you absolutely know the answer or have a killer idea, but your hand feels like it weighs 1,000 pounds? You just stay totally silent because you're dreading what people might think if you stumble over your words. It's that suffocating feeling like there's a glaring spotlight shining directly on you, making you think everyone is analyzing your every move. Score yourself from 0 to 5. Scenario 2, shyness. Picture walking into a networking event, a party, or even just a crowded break room where everyone's already grouped up and chatting. Do you just completely freeze? Like, does this sheer numbness wash over you and you instinctively grab your phone to pretend you're busy just to avoid eye contact? This isn't about being an introvert. It's a very active hesitation that physically stops you from connecting. Give yourself a score. All right, scenario 3 deals with self-worth issues. You're catching up with old school friends, and you find out one of them is just wildly successful, way ahead of you in their career or life. Instead of just feeling happy for them, do you physically feel yourself shrink a little? It's not simple jealousy, it's more like a sudden, heavy feeling of personal weakness, like you just aren't capable enough. If seeing someone else win makes your own self-worth totally plummet, score yourself 0 to 5. Number 4 is people-pleasing. You are completely exhausted, but a friend asks you to go out and you just cave and say yes anyway. Or maybe you're in a debate, you make a totally valid point, but the second someone pushes back, you completely fold just to keep the peace. How often do you sacrifice your own time, energy, and opinions simply because setting a boundary or saying no feels way too hard? Rate yourself on that one. And finally, scenario 5, overthinking, or what we call decisive paralysis. A friend simply asks if you want to go swimming, and suddenly your brain goes into hyperdrive. Will it cost too much? What if people judge how I look? I haven't swam in forever. What if it's boring? You delay deciding, you look for everyone else's approval, and you end up making no choice at all. How often does decisive paralysis stop you from just living your life? Score yourself 0 to 5. Okay, part 3, 5 behavioral solutions. This is the prescription. Look, if you scored high on those, I need you to do a massive reframe right now. You are not inherently an underconfident person. You simply lack a few specific behavioral habits, and we are going to fix them right now. Think of this as your personal confidence cheat sheet. We are mapping those 5 exact problems you just scored yourself on straight to their specific actionable cures. We've got focus shifting, initiation bias, evidence building, boundary building, and ownership behavior. Let's break down exactly how to use these in the real world. First up is focus shifting, and this is your cure for the fear of judgment. The root problem here is the spotlight effect, that false psychological trick making you believe the whole world is obsessively watching you.
Well, since you're already using your imagination to pretend people are judging you harshly, the cure is to consciously flip that script. If your brain insists on imagining their thoughts, imagine they are thinking really positive things. Tell yourself, hey, they're staring because I look incredibly sharp today, or they're quiet because they are totally hooked on what I'm saying. Shift the focus, kill the fear.
Now, to tackle shyness, we use initiation bias, specifically the 5-second entry rule. The real reason you freeze up at events isn't a lack of social skills, it's because you're waiting for the perfect opening, and waiting just gives your brain time to build up a mountain of awkwardness. The behavioral shift is forcing yourself to act within the first 5 seconds of walking into a room. Give a compliment, say a quick hello, introduce yourself. It absolutely doesn't matter if it's eloquent. You are biasing your brain toward immediate initiation before the fear software even has time to boot up.
For self-worth issues, we use evidence building. I want you to think of your brain like a really aggressive, highly skilled lawyer. It will relentlessly build a solid case for whatever you assign it. If you tell it, I'm weak, boom, it pulls up a folder of every embarrassing thing you've ever done. There was this amazing experiment on National Geographic's Brain Games where a blindfolded basketball player missed every single shot when the crowd booed him, but a total amateur made almost all her shots when people cheered her on. Your self-worth is determined by the evidence you feed it. You have to consciously hire your mental lawyer to gather evidence of your past successes and strengths.
Now, if people-pleasing is your trap, you need boundary building. Enter the RDR framework: reason, denial, respect. A lot of us fold because we are terrified of sounding arrogant when we say no. This framework solves that perfectly. First, give the reason. Hey, right now my focus is totally tied up in a major project. Second, the denial. So, unfortunately, I can't commit to this plan. Third, respect. But I really appreciate you thinking of me and I wish you the absolute best with it. Reason, denial, respect. It lets you build a rock-solid boundary while keeping things totally warm and professional. Finally, for the overthinkers, we need ownership behavior. Because let's be real, overthinking is ultimately just an action avoidance loop. Your brain invents a million what-ifs simply to dodge the discomfort of actually doing the work. The only way to shatter that mental paralysis is to take one tiny immediate action. Dreading a difficult email? Just type the very first sentence. Overthinking a job application? Just attach the resume. One tiny action proves to your brain that it is safe to move forward, and it breaks the loop instantly.
All right, final section. Part 4, 3 daily confidence reminders. This is your maintenance mindset. To permanently rewire your brain, you need mental anchors. So here are 3 daily analogies to keep your brain locked into unstoppable confidence.
Reminder number 1 is the restaurant analogy. Imagine opening a spot with a brilliant signature dish, but then one customer says it needs more spice, so you throw in chili. Another wants it sweeter, so you add sugar. A third demands Chinese flavors, so you pour in soy sauce. What happens? You completely ruin the dish and the restaurant tanks. It's the exact same with you. If you alter your authentic self to please the conflicting tastes of every single person around you, you'll completely lose your identity. You do not need everyone's approval to move forward.
Reminder 2 is the unplugged CCTV camera. We all walk around acting like there is a security camera recording our every move, broadcasting our embarrassing slip-ups to the world. But guys, the camera isn't even plugged in. Sure, the fact is maybe you blanked out during a presentation for 5 seconds. But the story you tell yourself is that you ruined the entire event and everyone will mock you for years. Fact is tiny, story is massive. Recognize that the painful stories are entirely in your head. Nobody else is watching the tapes.
And our final daily reminder, the diving board analogy. Imagine standing on the edge of a massive high dive. You look at the coach and say, I'm just waiting to feel confident and then I'll jump. Well, standing on the edge staring down is only going to increase your fear. You don't wait for a perfect feeling of readiness to take action. The action is what creates the feeling. You jump and the confidence comes right after. Waiting for the perfect moment is a total trap that just breeds more hesitation.
So that wraps up our explainer for today. The diagnosis is complete and you've got the behavioral prescriptions in your hand. But honestly, none of it matters without action. So I'm going to leave you with this final vital question. Are you going to keep standing on the edge of the board, endlessly waiting for that perfect feeling of readiness? Or will you take the jump today, force the behavior, and finally build the confidence you absolutely deserve? The choice is entirely yours.